Welcome once again to another edition of Shelf Life Book Reviews Online. Today I'm just going to review one book. Normally when I do my online reviews, I review two books. Well, I think this particular book deserves its own video review. It is a very emotional book and one that is definitely one of the most heart-wrenching books I've ever read. The book is My Daughter REHTAEH Parsons, and it's written by Glenn Canning with Susan McClelland. It's published by Goose Lane and it retails for $22.95. Those of us who know what it's like to be bullied will definitely understand this book. I was bullied back in public school and high school, but not to the extent and the circumstances surrounding REHTAEH Parsons, and by the way, she went by the name of Ray usually. So I suggest that if you do read this book, that you do have a tissue box handy, because it is one that really tugs at your heartstrings. Ray was a typical teenager. She loved school, she loved her family, she loved life, and she had good friends. And then one day, all that changed when she was going to a sleepover party with one of her girlfriends. On the way there, they dropped in at a boy's house, and the boys were having a party. And one thing led to another, and before Ray knew it, she woke up the next morning. Her clothes were on in different ways. It was like inside out, and she knew something had happened. And then she became aware of pictures of her from the night before with a boy standing behind her while doing sexual things. And she had no idea how it got to that stage. And it didn't end there. Unfortunately, the pictures surfaced on social media and amongst the boy's friends. Now, REHTAEH was shamed in ways that no person deserved to be shamed. She was made fun of at school, online, and bullied constantly. Her life changed. Her father reassured her that this was not her fault and that they would go to the police, which they did. And the police actually did very little. They made promises and promises and promises, and really nothing came from those promises. And it got worse and worse and worse. Ray, she went for counseling, and it helped for a bit, reassuring her that this was not her fault. It was nothing to do with her. And that counselor was replaced, one that she really liked and that she related to, and it just went downhill from there. Now she had to go to another school, which she did, and she fit in well at that school until someone spread the rumor that, oh, that's the girl, Ray, from the party. And once again, it was back to square one. Now, they heard constantly from the police that they were investigating the boys, and still time and time again nothing happened. But Ray started to cut herself, to cope. She withdrew pretty well totally from, friends. She really thought she had no friends, which she didn't, because they all abandoned her. No one stuck by her side. And that's the sad part of it all. And the book goes into detail about how her life spiraled downward. She became suicidal. She threatened many times that, life was pretty well not worth living. And it just tugs at your heartstrings what this poor girl had to endure, before the fact that, yes, she did hang herself, and she did not die that time. She died 3 days later. The family was given the option of, letting her die because she was going to donate her organs, and they only had like a 3-day window for that. So she did die. And it is very difficult, really to read what happened to her in the last days. And the father made a very interesting quote. And he said, "My daughter wasn't bullied to death. She was disappointed to death, disappointed in people she thought she could trust, school and the police. She was my daughter, but she was your daughter too. And so that really, like I say, tugs at your heartstrings, and it brings tears to your eyes. And so if this book should be recommended reading at all schools, that children, should not do this to people. They should not have to endure such torment and torture, and finally being driven to suicide. So this is a book that is very, very highly recommended. Get it for your children. Tell them to read it, and tell them to learn from it, that things like this will not keep happening. Thank you for watching this Shelf Life online video, and please let me know what you think of it. Take care, stay in touch, and love one another. Bye for now.